Hello, accountability buddies. I'm Les, and this is another episode of Less is More Healthy, coming to you from the car as I run some errands on an extended weekend day. This is the first weekend where I've been able to take my weekend and extend it out into a long weekend. Historically, my workplace, as long as we've got kids in the building, we don't take time off. So I've been working on taking some longer weekends here and there, and this is the first weekend that it's really made sense. So a great thing is that I have a bunch of extended weekends happening this summer. My workplace has decided that we're going to have a bunch of half-day Fridays throughout the summer, which really is just going to be fantastic. It's not coming out of my PTO. They're just letting us have a half day, and then there is some encouragement to take the full day off. So I'm going to be capitalizing on that, let me tell you. And yeah, so extended weekends means more bike riding for me, more hiking, and potentially, if I can convince my wife, more camping. So I'm pretty stoked over how this weekend has gone. So I had Friday, we had some pretty severe thunderstorms rolling through the area. I had planned on going for a ride, but instead allowed myself to listen to my body and took an extended sleep instead. So I just slept in, let myself relax, and enjoy the relaxation of sleeping in, which is not something I'm generally big on. I am more often than not someone who gets up early and wants to be doing things. So, had that extended sleep, relax around the house, and I had planned on going for a ride in the afternoon. But at the time when I was getting ready to go, I put on my cycling shorts, the shirts that I wear when I ride, and my phone started blowing up with National Weather Service extreme thunderstorm warnings. So I scrapped the idea of going for a ride, did some chores around the house instead, and just enjoyed the day at home. And no complaints there. Saturday, I did a short 5 mile ride. And then yesterday, I did just over 30 miles, which is a substantial increase over my most recent mileage. So my commute to work is about 25 miles. So 12 and a half one way, 12 and a half the other way. And that was my longest mileage. So the 12 and a half miles has an 8 hour chunk out of the middle. And then, another 12 and a half miles after that. And that is an easy accomplishment. Doing 12 plus miles and then an additional 12 miles after an 8 hour break is not difficult. It's quite enjoyable, easily accomplished. Doing 30 miles in one go when you haven't done 25 miles is a little more of an accomplishment in my book. And any bike riding is an accomplishment in my book, but for me, doing 30 miles all at once is something that is, absolutely an accomplishment. It's a big accomplishment. Feeling really good about it, particularly the route. So I decided, I probably disclosed this in one of my previous episodes. I know I talked about it and recorded it. I don't know if I released it. I probably record 100 of these episodes for every one that I actually release. But my plan this summer is to do sections of the East Coast Greenway. The great thing is, I live about 5 miles away from a trailhead that is part of the East Coast Greenway. Now, I know there are going to be some sections that I do repeatedly, and I don't think I'm going to get an A section every weekend, but I think I'm going to be able to do all of the Massachusetts sections pretty easily. And then also the New Hampshire section is very short. It's only like 25, 30 miles. I'll be able to get up into Maine. And then I'm also going to be able to do a section of Maine. um, pretty easily. Anyway, I've talked about this in another episode. So I did a section of the East Coast Greenway this weekend, and the section I did was 25 miles, but I added an additional 5 miles as part of my ride to it. So I live, like I said, I live about 5 miles away from the Greenway, and I rode out to the Greenway on my bike 5 miles, and then got on the Danvers Rail Trail, and then just rode north to Newburyport. So I did Danvers to Newburyport plus 5 miles of getting there. 30 miles ish, a little over 30 miles total. Like I said, I feel really good about this. The ride itself, the first 15 miles was a piece of cake. You know, it's all known roadway, it's all known rail trail that I've done repeatedly. Rail trail doesn't have a whole lot of grade to it. It's, maybe a 1% grade over, a long distance. But doing that was pretty good. And then I got off the rail trail about the halfway point, and then it's all hills. And let me tell you, the hills kicked my ass. It was just one hill after another. I did over 1,500 feet of elevation, and my body and my brain was not ready for the hills. I have never been so thankful that I put a wide range 10-speed cassette on the bike, because I needed those granny gears to get up those hills. It was rough. Every time, like, I'd get done with a hill, I'd have this slight descent, and then it was another goddamn hill. I had to mute the video on the route as I recorded it, because every other word out of my mouth was, "Oh fuck, another hill, God, another fucking hill, another hill, holy shit, another hill." And it's interesting looking at it on video, because it doesn't look like it's that hilly. It just, those cameras, the GoPros and the Osmo Action 3, just really flatten hills out. There are a couple of spots where I'm riding, and you can't see it, like where, like what's happening in front of you. And there's a spot where there was this just massive incline. I was like, oh my god, please let that be a driveway off the road and not a hill. And thank goodness, like, the commute was like, hey, keep right, keep right, keep right, because to the left was someone's driveway, and the incline on that, I don't know how people walk up it, or if they ever do, but like, I can't imagine driving up it either, particularly in the winter around here. That driveway was probably a 15% grade. It was insanely steep. So anyway, yeah, a lot of hills, a lot of really steep hills. When I was looking at Komoot, the route showed me that some of the hills were between a 4 and 7% grade. A 7% grade is pretty intense for riding a bike. I feel really proud of the fact that I was able to do those. I didn't have to walk my bike up anything once. There were a couple of times where I had some mechanical issues due to the fact that I'm using a 10-speed cassette with a 12-speed brifter and derailleur. The derailleur's dumb. The brifter is what pulls the derailleur over the cassette. And anyway, it just, there were a couple of times where the giant cassette that I had was too big for the derailleur, and it bound up a little bit. But we're going to work on that and figure things out, and hopefully get the solution is in the mail, because the first thing I did when I got home from the ride was I went to Amazon, dropped a 12-speed cassette into my cart, and hit purchase. So I have a 11 tooth to 46 tooth cassette arriving in the mail. Hopefully the L2RX derailleur will be able to handle it. I do have an adapter, so I believe it's going to be able to get up and over that 46 tooth cassette, we will see. I might need to buy a new adapter to get it up over that. And yeah, so anyway, the ride was really good. I'm not that sore today. My thighs are a little tight, if that makes sense, and so are my glutes. So glutes and thighs are a bit tight, but overall, I feel ridiculously good after a 30-mile ride that was 50% hill. Um, yeah, just feel really good about that ride, feeling really proud about it. And I'm looking forward to doing other sections of the East Coast Greenway. It's a good challenge for me. It's also getting me out of my comfort zone. Last year was all about learning how to ride longer distances, challenging myself a little bit to see the things around me. And now I just want to range out a little bit and see more of the stuff around this area. I don't want to just ride in the North Shore. I want to, get out and do the Northern Strand. I want to get out and do some of the other stuff around and about. And I'm just really looking forward to doing a lot of this stuff that I've kind of not put off, but just haven't done. The North Shore riding is really my comfort zone, and I want to push out of it a little bit. So here's to hoping that I can push out of that comfort zone and experience more of Massachusetts on my bike and also stay safe. There were a couple of sections of the ride yesterday that were on, actually there were 50% of what I did was on roadways. The majority of the route was like the drivers were really respectful, and I felt really safe. But there were a couple of spots where the drivers were a little too close to me. The roads were a little narrow. There wasn't a shoulder to ride on. I did get dieseled by a big truck. I don't know if it was an intentional dieseling or an accidental dieseling. So dieseling is where a big truck rides past you, just floors the gas and envelopes you in a black cloud. Now I know some people do that purposefully. I don't know if this dude did it or not, but that only happened once. So anyway, ride was great. Everyone should do the Danvers to Newburyport portion of the East Coast Greenway. It was a good ride. It was a challenging ride. Had a good time. Anyway, with that, I'm just going to say thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. And I will see you next time. Bye.